Hello. Today, I want to talk about something very dear to my heart, and that would be Overwatch, of course, but one thing in particular, um, Brig, because Brig is a pretty prominent part of Overwatch, and she has been since her release, and I think to this day, she's still one of the most overpowered heroes currently in the game. So, I want to go over the history of Brig, kind of how she was released, how she was on release, kind of what happened with her, and then at the end, I'm going to go over every single patch note revolving around Brig and going over how it still wasn't enough. Anyway, Brig releases on March 20th, 2018 to some pretty average looking reviews. People were like, this hero is insanely overpowered. How did they release this? And that was like the average take. And then of course there was like the outliers, who some thought she was kind of weak, and some thought, well, I don't think there's probably about 15 people on planet Earth who thought the hero was weak on release. Doesn't matter. Brig is released, incredibly broken, incredibly powerful. She's instantly meta. Everyone is playing her all the time. Just insanely broken, way too easy to play. Rally is just one of the most absurdly overpowered things in the game. When you press it, it gives infinitely regenerating armor to yourself and your team. And this stacked with the armor packs too. So you could have like a 250 health tracer, where over half of her HP bar was armor. Pretty cool. And this armor never ever faded away or went away until someone shot you and did it. So it became a pretty prevalent strategy to deliberately pre-rally, pre-fight, so you could build up everyone's armor and then they would engage when their armor was full. And it was incredibly annoying, insanely broken, and that's how the game was. Anyway, this continued for quite a long time before a team that no one really knew about all that much, but they were called GOATs. Now, you know where this is going. GOAT's meta appeared in Overwatch Contenders at the end of Overwatch League Season 1. And, by the way, has probably remained the most broken and the strongest team comp available at all times. So, if 6v6 ever did come back with no role lock, people would instantly start playing the GOAT's comp. It's easily the best comp that has ever existed. Okay? Now, GOATs is a fairly unknown contenders team. They dominated the North American Open, only losing one game the entire time, and winning in the end. They beat NRG in the end. So, clearly, people are like, who the fuck is this random team playing this comp that we've never seen before, and how are they just destroying everyone? Well, I'll tell you. They had built their own team comp. Now, at the time, no one really knew what this was. It was triple tank, triple support. No one really played this at the time. Sometimes people play quad tank, but it was pretty rare. Where essentially, the premise of the GOATs comp was that you would run triple tank, triple support, but a very specific lineup of triple tank, triple support. You would run Lucio, Moira, Brigitte, Zarya, Rein, and D.Va. And the reason for this was you get a ton of AoE healing, you get a ton of survivability in your backline with obviously the Fade, the Bash, Speed Boost. You obviously have the Speed Boost for your tanks. You have like the unbelievably stupid amount of healing, armor, you have insanely high damage, high utility, you have obviously got the Speed Boost, but predominantly AoE healing as well as anti-flanking possibilities stacked on top of that with major healing, armor, and damage. Obviously coming from Brig. Brig was the main factor for the cause of GOATs. But we of course also had D.Va, Zarya, and Reinhardt, where essentially the Rein would just turbo feed on cooldown and just pin into their team and swing everywhere. The Zarya would bubble them, the D.Va would defense matrix them, and the Brig would beat the shit out of stuff with the Rein. And obviously as the GOATs comp developed, it was played a little differently. Sometimes things would change, but for the most part, this is kind of how it was played. But the Rein would just kind of do whatever the fuck he wanted. The Zarya would get high charge from him, and then just start cooking all the supports and the DPS, and they couldn't do anything about it. And the D.Va was essentially just booping people into better position for the Rein or the Zarya to kill them, while also holding defense matrix over things like spam, maybe things like Hanzo and Junkrat, just so that there wasn't chance of something getting burst down potentially. And that was it. That was GOATS comp. That's how it was played, and that's how dominant it was, where basically a team of players who were not very good at the time completely dominated everyone simply by developing an incredibly overpowered comp. Anyway, 525 days after Brig's release, we get Roll Queue, which is their solution to GOATS. Now, they already done multiple things, like trying to buff Orisa, which obviously gave us double shield when Roll Queue released because of all the Orisa buffs. They also released with Sigma, meaning that essentially every single time you ever played the game, it was double shield after Roll Queue's release, and that was kind of the time where they abandoned the game, meaning that we were left with double shield, unfortunately. But that's not what we're talking about. Anyway, Brig, even after 525 days, where they have to fundamentally change the game, how it is played at its core level, is still ludicrously overpowered and is still easily one of, if not the best hero in the game. Now, we haven't talked about the patch notes yet, but we'll go over them in a second. So, let's do a little bit of recapping. Brig releases on March 20th, 2018. She's incredibly overpowered on release. A North American contenders team called GOATS decides that they want to develop a new strategy of triple tank, triple support. They run D.Va, Zarya, Rein, Lucio, Moira, Brig in the North American Open. They dominate. They only lose one game. They beat NRG in the end. People are very confused by how broken this comp is. It's picked up by Overwatch League teams. It becomes hard meta. Okay, 525 days after Brig's initial release, we get Roll Queue enabled into the game, which fundamentally changes the core of the game, only allowing you to go a 2-2-2 comp instead of being able to pick whatever you want. That is the main premise of the story of Brig. Very, very obviously watered down version and not as in depth. However, that's not really what I wanted to talk about. This is just an introduction into what my core problem with Brig continues to be to this day, as I believe she's still one of the best heroes in the game and is still extremely overpowered. Anyway, Brig releases on March 20th, 2018, obviously. However, on April 10th, 2018, Barrier Shield gets a changes. An option to toggle barrier has been added under options, controls, and Brig. Wow, cool. Still no nerfs. 3rd of May, 2018, so a month and a bit later, the Shield Bash cone angle reduced from 90 to 60, so shield bashing was more difficult. That's fine, it's a nerf. 22nd of May 2018. Rally, maximum armor per player reduced from 150 to 100. No more 300 HP tracers running around, so that's a nerf. Shield Bash cooldown increased from 5 to 6 seconds. That's another nerf. 9th of August 2018. Shield Bash cooldown increased from 6 to 7 seconds. Another nerf. The 11th of September 2018. Shield Bash now knocks down and gets knocked down by other charging targets. This was a buff, but also kind of neutral, but we can call it a buff. The 9th of October 2018, shield health reduced from 600 to 500. She had 600 shield. Anyway, on the 11th of December 2018, Shield Bash no longer can travel or stun targets through barriers. No more shield bashing the Rein while he was holding shield and him shattering your whole team. That was gone. Damage reduced from 50 to 5. Inspire gets a nerf. Cooldown reduced from 1.5 to 1 second. That's a buff. Duration increased from 5 to 6 seconds. Total healing increased from 80 to 100. I'm wrong. That was a complete buff. A huge buff, actually. Rally now has a maximum duration of 30 seconds. That's on the 24th of January 2019. On the 13th of August 2019, we got a lot of changes. Healing amount increased from 100 to 130. Self-healing from Inspire is now halved. Repair Pack has 3 charges. New healing amount changed from 150 to 120. Now heals over 2 seconds instead of instantly. If there are multiple packs at the same person, the current duration will be expended by 2 seconds. Whip Shot. Outgoing velocity increased from 60 to 80, meaning she could throw faster. Retracting time reduced from 0.6 to 0.3. Barrier shield health reduced from 500 to 200. Shield Bash stun duration reduced from 0.97 or 0.9 seconds to 0.75 seconds. Rally ultimate cost increased by 10%. February 12th, 2020. Armor over heal reduced from 75 armor to 50 armor. Heals per second decreased from 60 to 55. That's on a repair pack. The 30th of June 2020, Repair Pack no longer grants an additional armor health pool. The Barrier Shield maximum health increased from 200 to 250. Regeneration rate decreased from 100 to 85 health per second. Cooldown when destroyed increased from 3 to 5 seconds. 13th of August 2020, base health lowered from 200 to 150. Inspire, total health decreased from 130 to 90. Healing reduced from 21 to 15 health per second. Self-healing is no longer reduced by half. 29th of October 2020, base health increased from 150 to 175. 19th of November 2020, base health reduced from 175 to 150. Okay, and that's all the patch notes we got for Brig in Overwatch 1. However, there's patch notes from Overwatch 2. 26th of April 2020, the game is in beta. Shield Bash no longer stuns enemies. Cooldown reduced from 7 to 5 seconds. Distance traveled increased from 7 to 12 meters. Movement is no longer stopped when impacting barriers. Damage increased from 1 to 50. Inspire now also triggers from Shield Bash damage. 5th of May 2020, Shield Bash knockback doubled. 4th of October 2020, Inspire, duration reduced from 6 to 5 seconds. 5th of January 2023, or sorry, these are all 2022. We're now in 2023. 5th of January 2023, Barrier Shield health increased from 250 to 300. 7th of February 2023, Repair Pack healing over time reduced from 55 to 50 per second. Applying a Repair Pack now instantly heals for 25 health on impact. Rally, ultimate cost reduced by 10%. 11th of April 2023, Rally. Brigitte now gains 100 restorable armor health pool for the duration of Rally. Brigitte no longer gradually builds temporary health like your neighbor Alice. Rally now upgrades her Barrier Shield, increasing both its size and health. Barrier health increased from 300 to 750 during the ultimate. During Rally, Shield Bash now impacts multiple enemies and briefly stuns them. Bonus movement speed reduced from 30 to 15%. Repair Pack, range reduced from 30 to 25 meters. 10th of August 2023, Barrier Shield health reduced from 300 to 250. Rally, ultimate cost increased 6%. And now we're caught up. That was on the 10th of August 2023. As you can see, over the course of probably about 5 years, 5.5 years, and the reason that Brig is still getting nerfed is, who could have guessed, she's still overpowered. Now, just because she's getting nerfed doesn't mean she's overpowered. This is obviously the Overwatch balance team we're talking about. There's some dumb decisions getting made there. However, it does go to show that at least the devs believe her to be a problematic hero, as well as most high-level players at the same time. Brig's Inspire box, whatever you want to call it, the sphere around it that grants, obviously, the distance of Inspire, is still ludicrously big. If you stand anywhere on Elios well and proc Inspire, you will be healing your teammates on the point. Incredibly dumb. I do not really understand why it's that big. I believe it to be 4 times bigger than Lucio's heal aura, while also being like significantly more effective. But that's Brig for you. She continues to do a stupidly high amount of damage. Her healing continues to be very high. She continues to be an extremely large nuisance for flank heroes, which I don't necessarily believe to be incredibly problematic per se, because flank heroes do need to be put in check from time to time. However, it is the way that Brig does it that I find extremely problematic. Currently, the hero's most effective strategy when it comes to dealing with flank heroes is you swing once to proc your Inspire and you hit them, throw up your shield, wait for your Inspire to stop, or for you to get another opportunity to swing, and then you swing on them again, and then you throw up shield, and then you wait, and then you swing on them again, and you throw up shield. Very boring. I don't exactly know why a support has a shield, but that is a fundamental problem with the hero, where they have designed a support hero, but given her tank capabilities. And no matter how much you nerf her numbers or things like that, she will remain a core and fundamental issue with the game until she's completely reworked, because in her current state, she does not behave like a support. She gets all the benefits of being a support, she gets all the benefits of being a tank for the most part. However, she is not played like a tank or a support. She's played like her own role entirely. At no point do you ever play Brig like a basic or average usual support or tank hero, even though she is a support hero. So how do you play Brig then? Well, Effective Brig play tends to boil down to simply just being stand in the back line and make sure your other support doesn't die. But there's other things to stack on top of it, of course, like flank watching, being hyper aware of your surroundings so you can boop things away, like monkey jump, diva booster, ball rolling in, tracers, Genjis, this kind of thing, where you're genuinely just watching for things being near your backline. And your main goal is you want to boop them, or if you have your ultimate, obviously, stun them, and things like that. And it is incredibly boring for the person going against Brig because of how simply brain dead the action is. There is no skill required to just simply boop someone away. And this obviously doesn't apply to every boop in the game. I still think it applies to Zen Kick, for example. I think that is incredibly overpowered and shouldn't be in the game. However, Briggs is unique in the sense that simply doing it rewards yourself and your entire team with a giant AoE heal. And that is pretty problematic because if you are a Tracer player, for example, and you are currently, in the current state of the game, looking for a flank, you engage it perfectly, you blink into the backline, and a Brig whipshots you and boops you away. That feels incredibly lame. But not only is that Brig then rewarded with having just simply pushed the button and hit you and booped you away, killing your current engage, no, that is not the only thing she's rewarded with. She's also rewarded by massive AoE heals to her entire team. This is a fundamental problem with the hero. Inspire is extremely problematic in every sense of the word, and until it is removed, and until the hero gets a complete rework, I don't believe we're ever going to see a state of Brig that is genuinely well balanced. Because Brig currently, with her current fundamental form, how she is currently built, I do not believe she can ever truly be balanced without a complete rework, because she's only ever gonna be insanely overpowered or incredibly weak with broken abilities on top of that. Because keep in mind, a Widow, a hero can be weak, like Widow, who's not necessarily weak because she has something incredibly powerful to her kit, but generally speaking, everything applied to Widow makes her insanely weak as a hero, apart from the fact that she can one-shot. Her one-shot is broken, the rest of her kit sucks. Similarly to Brig, that her entire kit is pretty bad, apart from Inspire, and I wouldn't even go as far as to say that her entire kit sucks. I think she's actually a pretty great hero. However, a lot of Brig players will disagree and say she is bad, but as a Brig player, you have to understand your IQ is of 1/3 of the average player, therefore your opinion is irrelevant. Anyway, I think the only way you could properly fix this hero is to nerf the shit out of her or rework her. However, in the current state of the game, where all of the support heroes are insanely overpowered, 90% of the DPS roster is unplayable, and the tank heroes are not even playing Overwatch anymore, but are instead playing Pinball Simulator, I think the game is not going to focus on fixing Brig currently, and will focus on fixing other things. However, again, remember, this is the Overwatch 2 balancing we're talking about, therefore I actually genuinely believe that none of these issues will ever be effectively fixed. And for that reason, I think Brigitte continues to be the reason for Overwatch's downfall, and will continue to be for the foreseeable future. Goodbye. Mwah.